So, Ted, I know we're sitting in front of Sacred Games.
I know, we should sit behind.
However, because it's based on my brother's book, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to talk a lot about it. It just becomes a little awkward.
Yes.
Yes, but I have plenty of other questions.
Okay.
I have many other things.
What a great, I mean, for us, what a great honor to work with his book. I mean, it's such
Thank
a
you.
beautiful and well-respected piece of writing in this country. So we're just thrilled to be able to bring it to the world.
That's going to make my mom really happy. So thank you.
Good, good.
Thank you. Ted, you are arguably the most powerful man in the entertainment business. I have read articles like a Variety piece that started with, "Has Ted Sarandos rescued or ruined,
Yes.
Hollywood?" But I've also read pieces that say that you're like the Tom Hanks of studio heads because you're so nice.
I like that one better.
You like that one
yes,
better? Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
will the
yes.
real Ted please stand up?
Look, I have the great luxury of doing something that I love. And I feel like it's just this gift every day that, I mean, I bounce out of bed every day. And I've been at Netflix since 2000. So this isn't like a new thing for us. And about every 2 years, my life at Netflix has been radically different. You know, we were just buying DVDs to mail around the U.S.
I remember those red envelopes.
Yes, and then to where we are today, where we're producing film and television all over the world and helping to make local storytelling global. And to me, it's like the idea that we get to do that every day is exciting. So, and I don't understand what people are so upset about all the time. They say I'm such a nice guy just because these are not problems that can't be fixed. You know what I mean? These are we're all just so lucky and blessed to be in this business. I think that I just never lose sight of that.
Are you surprised sometimes at the hostility?
I just think it's a lot of people who really want to do their best, and they really want perfectionist is not always thought of in a good way, but I admire perfectionists. I admire people who have a sense of clarity about what they want, and that people who are willing to argue and fight to get what they want, and I think it shows up on the screen, the end result of it.
So I have to say I love Netflix. I love what you've done. I love what you've enabled. I mean, my mother, who's 80 plus, is now an addict and is watching movies that she would have never gone to a theater to see.
It is the most fun thing, I think, watching somebody in their 80, from an 8-year-old on an iPad or an 80-year-old adapting to new technology, all doing the same thing, though, looking for something great to watch.
Absolutely.
Which is great, yeah.
And she's consuming things like Masan or Aji, small independent films that she would have never seen otherwise. But the truth is, I also love the theater experience.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, are you envisioning a future in which both thrive, side by side, or are you seeing a theater-free world?
I hope, my personal hope is that they thrive side by side forever. I was just in the theater this week. I went and saw Jurassic World. My son is 21 years old, and for him, this is his Star Wars. So when the new movies come out, we go see it together opening night, and it's a great experience. It's a great experience to see with the crowd, no question. I don't think that these things are necessarily in conflict with each other. But the thing you were describing about your mother seeing movies she never could see before, if that's all the movies you could see were the ones that were in a movie theater within driving distance of your home, you wouldn't have a lot of opportunity to see most of things ever made. So we are giving the opportunity for films to be seen. We also are serving a generation who is getting used to watching what they want, where they want, how they want. And if they want to just push play and watch it at home, they don't understand why they want to wait 5 or 6 months to see it at home, that they have to go out and see it. So that's getting more and more out of step with the way people live. There's the other thing, the at-home viewing experience is getting so great. The screens are bigger, the quality, the fidelity is better, it's more comfortable. I mean, all these things that are bumping up against, at least not to speak for the Indian market, but for certainly in the US, the theatrical viewing experience is not what it used to be. Theaters are smaller, screens are smaller, people talk, people bring their phones, there's ads. Yeah. So I think what's happening is the experience is going down while this experience is going up. And the really exciting thing, though, is that people are seeing movies. Great movies, small movies, big movies. And our goal really is to keep movies alive in the culture, not necessarily protect one experience or the other. That's a long answer, sorry.
You said, Ted, that for India, you want to create a cinema-infused television.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's television, storytelling on television in episodic form, but that is shot with the big production values of the cinema. using the great filmmakers, great actors who are primarily you associate with seeing on the bigger screen, but bringing the production value of the cinema to television. We've been fortunate to have kind of an embarrassment of riches around the world today with scripted television getting better and better and better all around the world, and we're excited to be part of that movement. And I think that India has got such a great love affair with films that it would be great if we can kind of bring some of that passion into drama.
Yeah, my sense is that this is hands down the sort of most movie crazy country in the world.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, the things that happen here don't happen anywhere else, and there's no way to explain the love.
Right, and you want to celebrate that. You never want to lose that. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what is the challenge then, Ted, of working with a climate like this?
No, the challenge is just a different opportunity. I think what's great about it is we have so many great filmmakers to work with here because it's such a great industry and there's such love for that for filmmaking here. So the idea that we can give them a platform to tell their stories. We're not trying to come in and change really anything. We're trying to do is give opportunity, both in how things get made, but even more importantly, I think, is how things get watched. So when you put your life into making this 6, 8, 10, 12-hour epic, that it gets seen around the world. And the exciting thing to me is that these productions that may come from India, but they're not India for India or India for the U.S.
Right.
They're really India for the world. And I think that could be done at a scale that's never been seen before. It's enabled by what we're doing, of course, but also just by the power of the internet as a distribution tool.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the process of greenlighting for India? Like if I'm somebody who wants to pitch, how do I do it?
Well, we have a great team here in India, offices here in Mumbai, who are seeking to work with filmmakers here in India to make their projects. So they're out and about with the production community, through the agencies and through festivals, and they're looking for your projects. Yeah.
What keeps you up at night?
I sleep pretty well.
Nothing.
No. You know what? It keeps me up at night is watching. I love it's.
Really? Do you watch a lot?
I watch a lot, but also the thing that keeps me up at night is just feeling like there's not enough time. So people, when we first started making original programming, our first year, we had 5 shows. Watched every cut, read every draft of every script, watched every version of it. And today, it's not even physically possible for me to see every episode of our series before they come out. So it's great is that we have such an amazing team who has incredible taste, and we have such great trust with each other that there's more than 20 people on my team that can greenlight projects and deliver them without even me seeing them, let alone having to wait for me to say yes.
I read that there's going to be 1,000 original shows by the end of the year. Is that right?
Well, there's a lot. There's a bunch of them. But the thing to keep in mind is that sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, it's not every one of them are not for you. The people's tastes are crazy diverse. So my wife and I don't even agree with what to watch, let alone 2 people in the same house, let alone 2 people in the same country. So that in order to find, what we're trying to do is have programming that you just can't live without, that you love so much. And to do that, you have to have a lot of different kinds of shows and different formats and dramas and comedies and scripted and unscripted. And so to do that, we have to put out a lot of programming. And we hope that a handful of them will be something that you identify with in such a way that Netflix is part of your life every day.
Is that what you meant when you said that there is no such thing as a Netflix show? Our brand is personalization.
Right. So to you, the reason that you might like Netflix might be totally different than why I love Netflix. So we try not to have the shows be defined by our brand or have our brand defined by your shows. We're a way of connecting people with great storytelling, and we want you to be in love with the show.
And is that why you say that nothing actually gets lost, because somebody will find something?
Yeah. It's a very so our people who compete with Netflix, typically that's what they like to say, that things get lost on Netflix because we have so much. So when you talk about 1,000 things, that sounds like how would I ever find anything? But the truth is that we use the power of the internet to personalize the presentation so that you're seeing things that are incredibly relevant to you. So nothing gets lost on Netflix, but things get found at a remarkable rate. Things that you may never heard of, things that are that really can have a way of taking a country or the world by storm. by like a thing like a small movie like The Kissing Booth, Lust Stories from here in India, that just
I love that.
and it just exploded, right? Even in all that vast amount of content we talked about, that Lust Stories found its way to the top and finds an audience all over the world, and that's incredibly exciting.
So Ted, why not share the numbers with filmmakers? Why not tell people when you say exploded, what does that actually mean?
The main thing I talk about, the main reason I don't want to talk about ratings is people don't know how to think about success and failure. And I think when the press wants to pick winners and losers, they pick the thing that got watched by the most amount of people in the least amount of time. And that is an old paradigm. That's measuring television by overnight ratings because that's how you sell advertising. We don't have advertising.
Right.
Or measuring it by opening box office because that's how the film determines the film's future revenue stream. Well, that doesn't determine their revenue stream on Netflix. 1 million people watching a movie in the course of a year is the same as watching it in one day. So if we start talking about ratings, I think that there will be a tendency to compare these things all on equal ground against one another. And a small film that's made for a small budget can have a small audience and be very successful. And a large film with a large budget needs a big audience, and that should be successful. And on Netflix, they're actually on the same. They could be being watched at the exact same time.
That algorithm is scary, okay? It makes suggestions that I feel like it knows me. And it does know me. You know, because it's so perfectly pitching what I should see next.
Yeah, and you find it works for you when you find things.
It works for me,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How much do you rely on the data?
Well, the data is very important for us. It helps us make confident decisions about how much to invest in something, but not what to make. I often tell people that if you look at the mechanics of something and break it down and say, well, certainly a movie by Elaine May and Mike Nichols and starring Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman in the height of their careers would be an amazing success. But then you have it was Ishtar. And it's just when all the parts just don't line up and things don't work, there's nothing you can do about that. So there's like everything else in life, great storytelling is dependent on execution. And no machine and no data set can tell you what to make and that it'll be popular. So we use the data to help us size the audience potential, but not what to make.
So more to decide the budget, would you say?
To help us, yes, and to increase our confidence in how much budget.
And how much you want to invest in it.
Correct.
Right. I read.
So we can unintuitively determine how big an audience might be for something.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I read that you have not one, not two, but 3 posters of The Godfather in your office.
I do. That was an unusual thing to recognize. One was a gift from my daughter, and the other 2 were purchases. Yes.
And yet, you say that Netflix is not about your personal taste.
Correct.
How do you do that? Like, you obviously have very strong feelings about the movies.
Yes. Yeah.
How do they not reflect?
The main thing is my tastes are not so narrow, and
You like many things.
I like many things, and I like, I guess when I like to watch something, I enjoy as much picking something for you to watch as I do for picking something for me to watch. So I will get like a great satisfaction out of somebody else loving something, even if I don't like it. And I think that's part of it, and that's some of the things we've instilled in our team. And we have a big, diverse team, so that when things get inbounded to them, they could say, look, they could check each other on it. This isn't for me. What do you think? You know, and they'll move, and those projects can move around from team to team for that same reason. But I think reminding everybody that we're not programming for ourselves; we're programming for the world.
And now that
there's nothing not to like about The Godfather. But
exactly, it is the perfect film. Now that world domination has happened, what is the next goal?
I don't think that's true.
Come on.
The worst, actually, we've got so much work to do. I mean, relative to everything that people are doing on their screens, we talk about watching YouTube videos, watching sports on television, watching social media interaction, all those kind of things. That's all the screen time that I feel like we kind of compete for. And we're just scratching the surface as to what we can do in terms of how to fill all those hours of watching with joy. I feel like we've got so much work to do. There's no such thing as what you just said.
Ted, thank you. And thank you for all the joy and for filling our hours with so much great content.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.